I've always said that color grading is an art. Each artist has his own procedure, each artist has his own workflow. Essentially, what the software gives you is that the software gives you the tools with which to paint. Now, because color grading is an art, there are no stringent rules. If you learn the rules, it is for you to break them or bend them to suit your own purpose. However, knowing these rules and knowing the workflow of other people can help you build your own workflow and make it a lot easier. And some of the times, learning the workflow of other people can help you add certain things to your own workflow that you never saw the need to use before now. That's the essence of this course. I am bringing you into my world to see how I color grade. And perhaps with this, you'll be able to either replicate my process or add from it to your own process to improve your work, essentially. So, welcome to class as I show you my color grading workflow. So yeah, this is a shot we're going to be working with. This was shot on Sony a7R4 it was shot on S-Log3 color profile. It's an interview for a documentary, a biography. So we're going to work on this together. What I want to achieve with this is not something very poppy and something too shouty. It is a blend of retro and basically cinema. It's not too shiny and it's not too dull, just right there in the middle, because I want to focus more on the elegance of the person talking. All right. So we're going to go down to our color wheel, and there you have this first node that Davinci gives you. The first thing that I like to do is I like to create all of my nodes. Okay. So I create them and I name them along the line until I'm done building my node tree. So this first node, I'm going to name it NR, which is noise reduction, should I need it. Then I'm going to create 3 nodes ahead of it. The second one, I'm going to name it primaries, where I'm going to do all of my primary adjustments. Then the third one would be my exposure. The fourth one will be my CST in. Then I create another node, and this one is going to be my balance. This is where I'm going to do my color balance. And after this, I create another node and create a parallel node under this one by hitting option P. I'll create 2 actually, just for good measure. The first one up here, I'm going to name it the skin. And then this one, I'm going to name it blues, because her cloth has a lot of blue. So I'm going to want to touch it a bit, maybe pop it if need be. This one, I'm going to leave it neutral for now. Then let me clean this up. Yeah. Now, next thing is I'm going to create another node, and I'm going to call this my RGB mixer. Create another, my glow. Another, my HDR. Another one. This one will be my look. And then the final one, I'm going to call this CST out. So we go right into the grade now by first converting our footage, because it is flat. So I want to convert it so that the software can bring out the colors encoded in the footage. So I'll come to my CST in, and I'll go to my effects, then search for color space transform. Here it is. I'll drag it to this node here, and immediately it opens the settings tab for me. For my input color space, the input color space for the camera I use is Sony S-Gamma 3.scene. That's what I set it on. As you can see, color is already coming out gradually. My input gamma is S-Log3. Okay. Then my output color space, I want to use a wide output color space so that I have more colors, showing more colors to work with on the timeline. That way I can play with a lot more and not affecting my highlights. I'm not affecting my shadows so much. So I'm going to use Davinci wide gamut. And then my output gamma, I'm going to use Davinci intermediate. It's almost like we've gone back to square zero, but nah, that's not the case. Then we come to CST out, the last node. And we're going to come back to our color space transform, drag it to that node. And then for input color space, remember the color space we used, the output color space we used for the CST in is Davinci white gamut. So that's what we're going to start with here. So I'm going to start with Davinci white gamut. My input gamma, Davinci intermediate, of course. You see the colors are back. Then my output color space, this time around, because this is the color space, this is the final output now. I'm going to use Rec 709 because it's a more universal display. And this video is essentially for social media and TV. Yeah, so it's not, I don't want to do two exports for this. So I'll use Rec 709. Then for my output gamma, I'm going to use gamma 2.4. Now, our colors are out. Let me clean this up a bit so that I can start working. Okay, good. So we're going to begin with our primaries. Come to the primaries, then come down to our color wheel, come down to the color wheels here, and we begin to play with the lift a bit. Now, when I shot this, I didn't like the background. I didn't want the background to be very much exposed. So I focused my light on the subject, the backlight on the subject as well. And then I created a little bit of light on the frames, this picture frames you're seeing here. I just allow a little bit of light to bounce on them because I wanted them also to have a little bit of light in them. But the background, I didn't want the background to be very pronounced. So the lift is going to help me bring that out. So I'm going to bring the lift because the lift affects the dark points. So I'm bringing the lift down. Then the gamma, gamma of course affects the midpoints. That's the midtones in the image. I'll take the gamma up. Now, when you're working with this, you have to always be careful with your parade because this is the information of your footage. Now, for your lift, you don't want this going down below zero or touching even the zero, right? Because that would mean that your dark points are clipping. They are going out of bounds. And that's what the lift does. As I touch the lift, you can see as they are going down. If it goes down below zero, you're already in trouble. So you want to keep it as baseline as possible. I think I'm good here. And then for your gain, you don't want your gain clipping above 896. Okay, so I'll leave my gain there and then come to my gamma, my midtones, and just level things up a bit here. Just level it up a bit, not too much. Yeah, this works for me. So the next thing is for me to go to my exposure. And for exposure, I'm still coming down to my color wheels. But this time around, I'm not using the color wheel itself. I'm using the log wheel. The log wheel is a lot more locked. For example, if I'm touching the shadows, it's not going to be affecting the midtones unlike the color wheel does. In the color wheels, you can see that as I'm touching the lift, as I was touching the lift, it's still affecting a little bit of the midtones and the highlights. But when it comes to the log, it is all locked. So for shadows, if you touch the shadows, you see that it's going to look for all the shadow points in the image and focus on them. See, it's not touching the skin, it's not touching the midtones, the highlights at all, really. So I want to just use that to make my shadows a little bit more prominent, just a little bit. Then I come down to the midtone and I take it up a bit because I want her skin to sit a little brighter. And then the highlight, just a little bit. Okay, I think that works. Now we go to the balance. This image is not balanced because it's kind of reddish. Okay, if you see the parade here, you see that red is above all the other colors. Red is above the green and the blue on this parade scope, this parade here. So what we have to do now is balance it. And there are different ways to balance. Some persons like to balance using this temperature and tint sliders. I'm not saying it's a bad way. I used to do it before until I found a better way to do it. Now, if I touch the temperature, you can see it's balancing it. You can look at the parade here and see how they are coming on the same level here. You see, it's balancing it as you're touching it and whatnot. It's a good way to balance. Another way to balance is to come to the color wheels. For the lift, remember the lift affects the dark points and the shadows. There's this plus sign here. You can just click it and come to the dark point of the image, drop it, and it will balance that. Then for the gain, you come to this point, pick the plus sign here. But for this, you have to look for white within the image. Now, there's no white here. All these things are not pure white. So if I click it, it will just go overboard, right? But if you have white, you have it perfectly done. So let's get back to it. And let me show you how I do it. I like to do it manually. And how I do it is I just simply use my sliders to balance whilst looking at my parade. So I could come here. And the reason why I do it like that is because not all the times it's not all the times that you want the blue, red, and green to actually be on the same level. Depending on the colors available in your scene, depending on what you want to achieve. So not all the times that you want them to be perfectly aligned. So I like to do it manually to be able to have that control. So here, I'm going to push my blues up a bit, bring down my red. Now, if you're looking at the parade, you'll be seeing that there's some changes happening there. I come to my gamma, do the same thing, bring down my reds a bit, bring down my blues. No, take my blues up a bit, take my green up a bit as well. Then I'm going to come to my gain. Yeah. So essentially, you're just going to be working with these sliders to see how best you can balance the image. You can see before now, the blue was a lot lower than what it is now. You can also do the same thing with your offset, Just play with the sliders to achieve the balance you're looking for in the image, because this is just like the first step in your grade. You've not even really gotten into the grade itself. So yeah, essentially just play with this until I get the feel I'm looking for, right? So let's go to before and after. Before, this is what we had. You see, look at the scope. After, you see, before, after, essentially. So there is a little bit more balance, and I think I'm comfortable with this. Now, the next thing is I'm going to go to my skin tone, and what I want to do is I want to isolate her skin. Should in any case I want to do something to the skin, I want to make it pop a little bit, I want to increase the brightness of the skin, all of that. I want to do that to the skin only, and I don't want it to spread to the other parts of the image or the other parts of the footage. So what I'm going to do is come to the skin, select it, then come to my qualifier here, pick my qualifier, then come to the skin and just click. Now, it creates a selection, but you can't see it here. So what you do after clicking on it, you come up here and click on this highlight. Now, it has selected the skin, but it's not perfect yet. You can see it's picking other things here. So what you want to do is you're going to use these sliders down here, the hue, saturation, and luminance. Hue affects the color itself. So you're going to play with this slider to get to the point, the skin tone point on the slider. This is where the skin tone actually sits. Yeah, this is where it sits. Let me take this out a bit. I'm capturing too much of. Yeah. Oh, good. This is where the skin tone is sitting. Then the saturation. I want to open it up a bit. And yeah. Now, when working with this, some of the times, depending on your footage and the colors in your scene, you may not get a perfect separation between your skin tone and all of these other things in your scene. That's usually because some of the times the skin tone might have the same color as certain other things in your scene. So the software will not separate those ones. It works with colors. It works with colors that are present. So in case you are facing that, don't let it disturb you too much. Just walk around balancing things at the end of the day after your selection, even though you picked some other things along the way. For example, now I'm picking some things here. This is in the picture frame, and some other parts of it. So that's essentially it. Yeah. So by the time I'm satisfied with selection, the next thing you see that it's rough. It's rough on the edges here. It doesn't look so good. Let me do a little bit more. No. Yeah, good. Make it good. So now we have this, right? But it's rough. So what we want to do now is clean it up a bit. So we're going to come here and then we're going to clean the blacks. As we're cleaning it, you can see what's happening. I want to leave this, I think at about 17 is okay. Then I come down to my blur reduce and take this to about 20. Yeah. Then come to the second page here and denoise it to about 30 thereabout. Yeah, we're good. So you can see the selection. She's isolated. Now with this, I can affect just her skin tone without suffering every other part of the image. Now I can go back, I'll go back to my highlight now, deselect it, and whatever I do to the skin tone, whatever I do now rather on this node is going to affect just the skin tone. Let's say for example, I move this, you see, it's affecting just the skin tones. And just remember this part of the picture that was selected, everything that was selected with it is just affecting that. Every other thing is out of it, you see. So essentially, that's what this does. Now for this, what I just want to do is I want to add a little bit more red to her skin, not something much, just a little, see, just like that, nothing major. Now the reason is when you're grading, you don't really want to do too much. You don't really want to push so much. And to avoid that, you have to film right, shoot right, make sure your subject is properly lit, you have the right color temperature, white balance and whatnot before you bring it into the grading software. That way you're not going to be doing too much. Don't stretch the image too much, okay? So I have this already. Now this is what we had before on the skin. This is what we have now, you see? Just a little bit of difference that makes a lot of difference. So before, after. Now for the blues, you're going to do the same thing as before. The same thing you did on the skin tone. All you just have to do, come to your qualifier, and then I'm going to click on this blue here, then highlight it, and then select. Take every other thing out that I don't want. Take them out as much as I can so that I can really just focus on the blues. Chelsea, the blues. If you're a Chelsea fan watching this part of this course is dedicated to you. So once I have my selection, go through the same process, come down here, clean my blacks. You know, if there are whites in it that I want to clean, I can do the same. Then come down to blur reduce and move this. Oh, no, it's too much. Let's move it to like 22. Then bring our blacks down to about 12. Nothing too serious. Then for the denoise, we'll take this to like 25. That sits well. Now we can close this. Now whatever you do is just going to affect the blues, this blues here. But I don't really like to use the color wheel to do this. I like to go to the curves. Okay, in the curves, you're going to see your hue versus hue. Here in the hue versus hue, you have your hue versus hue, you have your hue versus saturation, you know, hue versus luminance all the way down. But hue versus hue is where we're focused on here. I'm going to come here and click on the blue. Then it creates these three markers, these 3 points on the graph. And this is where the color is sitting. So whatever I do here now affects the selected color, you see? You see? Now here, I don't really want to do much. So I just want to bring it down just a little bit. Yeah, that's where I want it. And that's all. That's basically all of it. All, you know, if I do before, you see, before, after, just if you pay attention to this point. So that's basically it. Now, this is still neutral for now. I've not gotten the use for it just yet. Some of the times I may likely not use it. Maybe this is one of those cases. And then I come down to my RGB mixer, the next one, and then come here to RGB mixer on this line here. This is the RGB mixer. And here I'm just going to be affecting my red output, green output, and blue output generally. For the red, I want to bring it down a bit, push the green up just a little bit, right? Push it up just a little. Yeah. Good. Then for the green, bring it down. Take the red. Essentially, you're just going to play with this for that extra feel of color and extra balance of the colors in your footage. Nothing too crazy. If you play with it too much, you're just going to spoil your footage. So nothing too crazy. You have to be very careful with this. Okay, good. And then you go to your glow. Now this is also optional. To add the glow effect, you just come to your effects here and search glow. Then you drag it to this node, the glow node, and you have this settings tab open. You want to play first of all with the shine threshold to the side to know where the glow is coming from. Usually the glow is generated from the brightest points of the image. Okay, so this helps you decide how much of that glow you want. Okay, and I think just about here is enough for me. I don't want it to be too much. Just a little bit here is okay. And then you can touch the spread. Let me allow it spread a little so that the impact will not be too concentrated. Right? Now, all these other ones, I scarcely touch them. Very seldom do I use them, but some of the times I use them if I want to change the glow tone, the glow color. Like if I'm touching it now, you see how the glow color is changing because I'm touching the red, relative red spread like that. You can just play with it, you know, and it's going to be affecting the color of the glow basically. The next big thing you want to touch here is just the global blend. Come down to the global blend and then use that to decide how much of that general glow you're going to have, how much of the amount of the glow you're going to have on the footage. We close this, we're done from here, we close this. If we do it before and after, this is what you get. See, before, after. So the next is the HDR. We'll come to the HDR panel here. And then here, some of the times I like to just add a little bit of teal in the dark points. Then a little bit of orange in the shadows. You see what it's doing in the shadows there. Not so much, just a little bit. Not so much. Then the light, I make it cool, just a little bit cooler. Just a little bit. Okay, so before, after, before, after. Okay, now we go to our look, which is where you crown everything up. Now for the look, I come back to my color wheel, but this time I'm not using my color wheel or my log. I'm using the color bars. And here you do the rest of the creative work. You play with these sliders, your lift, gamma, and gain to achieve your final look. I don't want it too noisy, just cinematic and retro. Cinematic and somewhat retro. Play with all of this. I can still even play with the offsets, although the offset affects everything together, but you can still play with it. And once you've gotten what you want, your grade is done. So now if you select your full timeline and then you push it in, this is before, this is after. Before, after. This is what you've achieved by following this step. Now, some persons might argue, why These plenty nodes. Why not just use 2-3 nodes to achieve it? The reason is simply because I like to have control. I want to be able to adjust things individually at the end of the day. I want to be able to turn off something. Say, for example, I want to turn off the RGB mixer and it won't affect so much of the other parts of the image or the other parts of the footage. I want to be able to turn off my glow. I want to be able to follow step by step to get things out. And that's the flexibility that the node tree gives you. Okay, you build your node tree however you want it. Okay, you can decide that you want lesser nodes and just add more stuff on your nodes, but it's your preference. If that works for you, that's fine. But for me, I like this flexibility. I like this control, and that's why I use this node tree. If there are more things that I want to add, like halation, or I want to add several other things that I can add, but this is the node tree I use 70% of the time. There are other times that I don't use this node tree. I add some other things to it. I build it a lot larger, depending on the project. But this is my basic node tree and my basic workflow in Davinci Resolve for all of my grades. Okay. I seldom use LUTs. That's why I didn't use LUTs in this. But if you want to use LUTs, your color space transform will be completely different information in your gamma, output gamma, and all of that. So that's that. A bonus I'll give you is if you don't want to go through all of this stress, it's just learning how to grade, and you have very quick turnover time, but you really don't have the time to go through all of this stress to grade, or you don't know enough yet to grade and get quality grades for your footages for your clients and whatnot. There's an easy way. You can copy any grade using AI. Yes. All you have to do is to get the Retouch for Me plugin and use it in your Davinci Resolve. It's very simple. Now, I'm aware that there are other ways you can color match footages and still grade from different clips here and there in Davinci Resolve. But Retouch for Me does it a lot better because it uses AI to get the data from your reference image, transfer that data to your footage. After analyzing your footage and knowing what your footage actually requires, okay? So you're not going through the stress of color space transform and all of that. The grade just works. It just sits on it and it works. So easy. And how you do it is just simply you get the plugin, put it on your node, and then select your reference image. So before you do it, you just screenshot the image you want to reference. Okay, you select it in your reference image in the plugin, and then voila, it matches. But it doesn't look exactly how you want it immediately. So what you need to do is you just use the sliders provided here to play with it. Just play around with the sliders until you have what you're looking for, and voila, your grade is done. You are completely done grading. So this entire thing someone spent hours achieving, you can achieve it in one simple step using one node. Now you can get Retouch for Me from the Retouch for Me website at a discount, a 20% discount if you use the code Avenue20. All you have to do is go to www.promo.retouch4.me and use the promo code Avenue20. You'll get 20% off the color match OFX plugin from Retouch for Me. It will change the game for you and make things a lot easier for you. Is that okay? With that, we've come to the end of this class. Now, I like to end my classes by telling you this one simple truth. No matter the information I've passed across to you, it will not make a difference in your work. It will not make your work better if you do not practice. So please, let this not be one of those videos that you paid for, got access to, but did not implement. Get footages, capture something, and practice what you have seen. Practice them over and over. The more you practice, the better you get at it. Because this is art. And with every form of art, the more you do it, the better you get. Why? Because the more you do it, the more you see new things. The more you practice new things, the more you see your mistakes and you correct them. So get practicing. If you want to use my workflow, follow it through. Use it. And if you want to just pick a couple of things here and there from my workflow to add to your own to improve it or make it better, feel free. But at all costs, please practice. Okay? That's the only way you can get value for your money. And while you're at it, don't forget to continue to learn, create until you become. Thank you.